Welcome to the Building the Future podcast, where we help young people succeed by exploring real careers, real stories, and real lessons from leaders shaping our communities.
Joining us today is Denny Deaken. He's the driving force behind Tree Hugger Complete Tree Care in the Des Moines metro area. Alongside is his wife, Donna, their son, Sean. Denny has cultivated a family-run enterprise from its very foundations, ultimately achieving the TCIA accreditation in 2023. We're eager to explore him and his family's professional path, the wisdom they've gained along the way, and the essential elements of scaling a thriving tree care operation. Thanks for joining us, Denny. We're going to dive right in here with the first question. Tree Hugger Complete Tree Care began its journey in 2014 with just a vintage forestry truck, a chipper, and a vision. What motivated your family to finally embrace the challenge of entrepreneurship?
That's a good, I came onto it with the need of a job. I was in a partnership with a guy, and that went south, and I came home and said, I'm going to do my own. And so
In partnership with another doing tree.
Doing tree work, yes. He owned everything with no skills, and so he's like, hey, and it just didn't work well. He didn't want to work as much as me. Anyway, I had a family to feed, and I started it out of necessity of, this is the way I'm going to make my living, and it's a hard road to begin with. I mean, it was tough in the beginning. Luckily, my wife had a job.
Yeah, I was going to say, did you start off just solo then, kind of one-man show right off the bat, and then brought the family?
Whoever I could, because at that point, Sean was still probably sophomore, junior in high school when I started it. So, yeah, it was me and whoever I could hire.
Yeah. Free labor out of Sean?
No. I mean, not at first. But I always paid him. But so yeah, it was just out of necessity is where I started. I didn't ever think it would be where it was.
And did you just go straight into dropping trees? Was it mainly just trimming stuff up, or what? Was it anything that would come your way?
Anything that would come my way. Yep, that wasn't too much.
So when you started, and you said out of necessity, did you have a job doing something else when you started, or this was like, I'm going all in on tree service myself? And
I quit working for that guy. I said, we're done. And I went to the bank and borrowed what I could. And
What was this first old rig you got?
I had $26,000 in it, truck and chipper.
Yeah.
And then a old pickup that I had.
And a bucket truck, or
Yep.
yeah,
It was old Aspen, orange, bright orange Aspen truck. Yeah.
Yep. See them all over the place.
did you buy it on auction, or?
No, I bought it from a guy down in Knoxville.
Oh, he had bought it from Aspen.
Yep. He goes to auctions and picks them up and
Okay.
goes through them a little bit. And so I'd known Jody for a long time, and bought it through him. And yeah.
So the partnership that you had before then, how long was that relationship?
4 or 5 years, yeah.
And before that?
So before that, I was a union laborer for almost 12 years of my life.
Okay.
When I started to have kids and needed that steady.
For those of us that don't know what that is, what is a union laborer?
So actually, I was a mason laborer for a masonry company for 12 years.
Okay.
So tendon brick and
Setting brick, and is it all new stuff mainly?
Yeah. I worked for a company, Forrest and Associates was the company I worked for mostly. And I wasn't scared of heights, and that quickly excelled me to getting to work by myself and build scaffold.
Right.
I gotta go up. So yeah, and I loved it. I wasn't much for that. So
did you go and do some tree stuff on the side?
All the time. That was my sidekick. And prior to that, I'd been in. So my uncle owned a tree service, and that's how I got into this.
Okay.
When I was. I'll tell you that I was dumb and at age 16 decided school was not for me. And my uncle said, you're either going to work or go to school. And every day he would come and he'd wake me up and ask me that question every day.
What are we doing today?
What are we doing? And, here I am today. And so I worked for him for, probably 12 years, off and on a few times.
Were you climbing? Were you running bucket truck?
There I would do a little bit of everything. I mean, I don't climb now much. I mean, I still enjoy being on a rope and in a saddle. It's pretty fun. but it's pretty hard on you at 60.
No, so all those listening, when you're a 16-year-old kid starting in the tree service, you're the guy grabbing the stick.
Yeah, I was dragging brush is all I was doing at 16. Yo.
They don't throw you up in a tree right off the bat usually, unless it's a family member and you got this, you'll be fine.
And I did work with my uncle and my cousin then, and so pretty quickly he's like, "Yeah, you want to try it?" My cousin was always into letting me try stuff, and so yeah.
So did you end up finishing high school or not?
Nope, I never have.
See, it's another one of those things that we get quite a bit of in here.
We're not proponents of that.
Yeah.
I mean,
But this is our second interviewee now that did not graduate.
I mean, it was not quitting school was not one of my best. I quit school with a 3.9 grade average.
Oh, geez.
I got mad over wrestling, although I quit school. So that, wasn't my brightest moment, but, I worked hard to get to where I am.
For sure.
It took a lot of hard work to get to where I am, but,
yeah, we've talked about before. It's like, if you're working for other people, having it that you graduated high school makes sense. Like, I got the piece of paper. I didn't have to work terribly hard for it, but that's because of other circumstances. But I'm
guessing this is going to be a recurring theme from maybe not the high school thing, but most entrepreneurs want more and they're tired of being stuck where they're at. And just we have to stay here. And most entrepreneurs, I gotta move up that level. And whether it's I can't see myself sitting in school for another year. I need to propel, or I'm in a partnership with somebody where this thing's not going the next level. I need to cut ties and do it myself. And I think that's resounding.
Absolutely. Where I was with my partnership, it's like this is not working.
So you're trimming trees on the side over the weekends while you're working for the union, and just are you trimming? I mean, you're doing same thing.
Again, I'll do pretty much whatever.
You got your name out there at that point, or is it just people that know to give Denny a call? And
yep, I didn't no advertising for a long time. And I would pick up work. I could work every Saturday and most evenings after work if I wanted to. And so I had a family and a wife that said, "Hey, you can't do that much."
So after 12 years of doing that, you said, "Okay, it's time to get off the pot." And what happened?
Well, in 08, when everything kind of.
Oh yeah.
And I had a really good job. At that point, I was working for a general contractor up in Marshalltown. And they're like, "Well, we're going to lay you off for a couple weeks, but we're going to bring you back." And I said, "Well, I got something I can go do," and I just stopped doing that, and that's when I got in the partnership with the guy.
Okay.
So he was kind of the funding behind it. You did the work, bid everything. That's pretty similar, kind of how I started. I had a guy that he had all the equipment and everything, but not a lot of drive to actually go do anything. So yeah, we did a lot of trees. He had a bucket truck and all that, and after the derecho. Yeah. So he taught me a lot. He taught me how to climb.
Sure.
Bought my first set of spurs off him, did all that stuff. But we used his bucket truck. We did a lot of tree stuff, and I do not miss that.
Yeah.
That's it's a tough business to be in.
And the partnership, I mean, he also had 1,000 acres of row crop and probably 400 head of cattle, and so
kind of a side gig for him.
It was his little brother's business, and when his little brother passed away, he just bought the business from his sister-in-law, and then he found out he was really scared of heights. He didn't realize he said, "I've been up grain elevators and everything." He said, "I can't get in that truck and do it." So, and I had known his little brother really well, and so but it's just one of those things that didn't work, and they're
okay. So you go out and you get yourself a truck and a chipper, and are we full steam, or is it still kind of a side gig?
Oh no, that was what I was doing every day as much as I could. There I was trying to get my name out as much as possible. Absolutely. Any advertising I could, I thought I spent a huge fortune to get a wrap put on the side of that. I didn't paint it. I just wrapped the side of it with our name, because what bigger billboard than your truck,
Absolutely.
in front of every house. So, it was still pretty slow. I mean, go for the first couple years was, I would go in the winter a little bit and work for a friend of mine that builds cattle confinements around here, and so I'd go and help him.
Does the tree business die off pretty heavily?
It would get pretty slow. And so what I would do is I would build up like a week or two of work, and I'd do that. And he was so open with me. A lot of times I could just go drive a truck for him, delivering stuff or whatever. I would just call Mark, say, Mark.
Now, why is that? Because I would prefer dropping trees in the winter. I mean, that's when we always went down to the timber and dropped them, was when all the leaves were off, right?
Yeah.
Most people don't think of that. They think it's cold. Why are they're not going to be working on it? So a lot of people don't call us, because I'll get into this. You have to prune oak trees in the winter.
Sure.
We get people all the time that wait till spring, call us, say, hey, I want to prune my oak tree. And I'm like, well,
Talk to me in the fall.
you get on my list for next year then, and they're like, what? So people don't even, now we build up, as I got busier and started educating people a little bit about their trees, then the work was there. But those first couple winters were pretty tough,
Well, and then, so you just had a chipper and a bucket truck.
Yep.
So then was everything that you did sized down for you personally to move all of it, or your ground guy to move all of it?
We did a whole lot of cutting it up to whatever size piece it took to get in that trailer.
And then just haul it. And so did you haul it back to your house? Did you have a dump site?
Yeah, no. The neighbor would let me dump there and burn. Yeah. I'll say that on the pod. Well, I won't say what neighbor. Yeah. But yeah, and then a lot of it, chips are easy to get rid of.
For sure.
Yeah.
That's why, chippers are getting huge nowadays, because chips are easy to get rid of over big debris.
Yep.
Selling it or just finding, or just put it out there, come and get it.
It's probably a whole nother business if you wanted to try to market, but there's a great place just outside of Bondurant, between Elkhart and Bondurant, that take all the chips you want to give them.
So there's a difference in between, or maybe not. I don't know that much about this. So you've got people that cut trees down, then you've got arborists, and they are not the same.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
It seems that right off the get, you were more of an arborist than you were just some guy out there chopping trees down.
Absolutely. So, luckily, my uncle was not an educated arborist. He wasn't. He started out of necessity to also when Dutch elm disease came across Iowa, and he was a Maytagger making nothing. Him and his brother said, let's go start a tree business. And, but he taught me very good, proper pruning skills. And, he really did. It was amazing when I became certified, because I had that attitude of, I've been doing this my entire life. And I just became certified at like 51, 52 years old. My son,
that's through the TCI.
Well, that's through ISA, is your certification for all arborists get ISA certified.
Okay. What's ISA? Oh, sorry. International
Society of Arboriculture.
All right, that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. I had to think about that for a second there. And that's worldwide.
Yeah.
If you're in New Zealand or wherever you are, you take the same ISA certification. That's everywhere. Everybody takes that. So I didn't do that until I was 51, because I kept thinking, wow.
What's all included, I guess? What's the steps to get that certification? And
they give you a book and tell you to read this book. It's an ISA certification book. You have to have 3 years of working experience with a tree service before you can even be eligible for the test.
So it's almost like a journeyman's license for arborists?
Yeah. It's a good start. It really is. Because I know some certified arborists that are super smart tree people, but they couldn't go up and properly prune your tree at all. But they're so smart on the other side that they got through the test.
So they just use it almost, or just as like, okay, this is kind of like a baseline, because I looked into getting it.
It's a great starting point. Yes, it is.
But, I had no interest in being an arborist. I primarily worked on the efficiencies of cutting the tree down and getting it out of the yard as fast as possible. Yep. And we turned down a lot of jobs trimming.
Yep.
I was there, so I was like, well, it doesn't make a lot of sense for me to get it.
So is it more of one of those things that it's nice to have on your business card on the side of the truck? Maybe for some people it means a little bit more than to others. If I went out and looked for an arborist and it said, what was it, ISA certified?
Yep.
Maybe they've got a lot of skill, maybe not. They at least passed that test, I guess.
Most of the, absolutely, I think, it was a great thing for us all. I highly recommend that all arborists should be ISA certified. If you're going to be out there, it's just, I wish it was a little there's a lot of classes afterwards you can take to start to specialize in that once you become certified. And that's where people really get specialist, where you have a lift specialist or a crane specialist. And ISA will, and then you get a little better training once you go that route. So,
Okay.
But yeah.
And that makes sense. When you talk about an international accreditation, like you said, New Zealand, well, they've got totally different trees and a different landscape than we have up here. And do you need, I have no idea.
Well,
what
I mean,
would be
even
a local
different-
tree for New Zealand.
Different soil structures made a difference for us. Like,
Oh, absolutely.
Varies
you
by
can't
state.
go run over certain trees with your skid loaders and stuff because the ground compaction just is all the weird stuff. I'm sure that's probably
That's a huge thing
parts
for
of
me
it.
is construction. That was kind of a passionate thing. They'll put an orange fence around the tree and say, okay, I protected the tree. I didn't hit it. Well, you drive in that root field for building a house or whatever you're doing. 5 years later, they're like, my tree died. I'm like, well,
Did you run it over the concrete truck?
you suffocated the roots to the point they didn't get any oxygen back in. So yeah, that's a huge thing. I still love coming up to construction sites and saying, I have a few builders I work with now that are really good.
There was a project that we were working on in downtown Des Moines, and it was a point of contention for a lot of the guys that were working on it because there was a tree in the middle of this. I don't remember what it was, but they're like, we can't even get around this thing. They got this thing fenced off 20 feet out. It's like, well, yeah, that's where the roots are. They don't want you anywhere near that thing. It's not about hitting the tree.
We're building a lot for a client right now that's got some massive oak trees on it. And, he wants the drive. It's a 75-foot elevation difference from top to bottom. But it's only like a quarter mile, so it's a pretty steep drive. But we're going kind of up and around all these trees, and there's parts where there's 11-foot cut, and the trees are on either side. I'm not 100% sure if the trees are going to make it, just because we've been running dozers and excavators and cutting their root systems and trenching through them and around them, and it's like, I told him I'm not 100% sure these are going to make it. It's a great driveway, going up through these massive trees and that climb, and it'll sell. But 5 years from now, are those oak trees going to still be alive?
Denny probably has the answer.
And that's the
Anecdotally,
magic
I can
number.
see the
that 3 to 5 year mark after you've done.
Yep.
When you start showing.
Usually, if I go to somebody's property and they got some tree damage, I will start off. Did you do something in the last 3 to 5 years? Like, yeah, we built a pool in the backyard.
What is that spread? Because I've seen it several times where somebody's doing a basement or an addition or whatever it is, and we weren't even close to that thing. It's like, but.
So your root field can be almost a third farther than the canopy of the tree. You can guarantee it's to wherever your drip line is. If your tree's 100 foot wide, then you better be 120 foot circumference around it and not drive across it.
And I mean, what you see is when they're digging those foundations or whatever, the whole half of the tree that was that direction next year ain't got no leaves on it. I mean, it's just
and especially oaks. The older oaks are really, really just they don't take well to disturbance.
they're sensitive.
Well, and I'm even looking at compaction. I'm if that drip line 30 feet or 30% more than the drip line, those things are I tried to stay as close to the edge of the drip line as I can, but they're probably cooked.
And the farther out, the smaller the roots get, and if you drove at the drip line most of the time, you're going to be a lot better. It's people that drive, they think we're staying 15 foot away from the log, and they just make their road right there. Well, they've just compacted that soil to the point it can't take on any nutrients or anything anymore. So
Interesting. Well, we'll find out.
Yeah.
Well, actually, we won't. The next owners will find out.
You'll be able to see it, drive by and go, oop, yep. Try to tell them.
So a couple summers ago, I was working at the Southeast Polk Middle School, and we were walking through all the landscaping and all the trees and everything, all the new trees they had. And we just had a blueprint up. We're just circling dead, 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 dead. And I was with the landscape architect, and it was usually the same trees. And he's saying like he's starting to see that some trees in Iowa that used to survive and thrive aren't thriving quite as they used to. Do you kind of seen any of that?
not as much. So sorry about the landscape architect. I'm going to beat up here on him a little bit. Most of them, I learned more in my ISA certification about planting trees than I did anything. improper, because most trees come in a container already too deep. And then whoever plants it, they plant it a little bit deeper yet, and that's the quickest way to kill a tree, a new tree. So you see new trees all the time. So take it out of that container, take all that soil back, and you want to find the root flare. So you don't see root flares. As a society, we love what I call a telephone pole in their front yard.
Yeah.
They want that perfectly round tree. They don't want the flare. You know, can't mow around it. But if you go out in the forest, all those trees, that flare is still there, and you have to have that. You know,
You're talking where those main roots start going out.
and it's hard to mow around and everything, and nobody wants that in their yard. In our, in today's society, they don't. They want a perfect tree, and
Well,
so that's the number one reason you're seeing young trees probably dying.
Just improper planting.
Now, I wouldn't think the landscape architect was picking horrible tree. You know, there are some trees that aren't going to make it in Iowa, but usually on something like this school or something, they're putting back native trees, but they're just probably more improper planting.
Yeah.
It's all over the place.
interesting. We did a project actually not too far from your house out there, and we started tearing. It was an old ravine, and I mean, we found a couple of Chevy Bel Airs in there. Like this had been, we were going to build a pond out there, and I found some mulberry trees that were like 3.5 foot in diameter. I didn't even realize they were mulberry trees till I started ripping them out and seeing the wood. And also I was getting berries dropped on top of my excavator. It only had berries like on the top of the canopy, but almost nothing down. Well, there wasn't a branch down below 20 feet. But I'd never even seen them that big. Have you seen, what are some of those bigger?
Mulberries will get huge. They will.
Really?
And I didn't realize. So it's interesting you mentioned that because I was thinking about the oaks. You know, we talk about the oaks, and that oak tree is so old, and I didn't realize oak trees only. Correct me, please. 100 to 120 years is roughly the lifespan. They went through a big project up at Camp Mantigua, finding because the whole forest is oak trees, right? And they've all been there for about 100 years, and they're starting to see them dying. So they went through about 5-6 years ago and started replanting the forest, basically.
So
Yeah, what do you see out of an oak tree?
Well, we cut an oak tree down up in Ames that we know through some pictures that the guy had, that he grew up in the house and he was 80-some years old, and it was pictures that his grandpa had given him. We're guessing that tree was about 225 to 250.
Holy cow.
I know there's a tree down on the bottom that got taken out in the derecho that ISU went down and core sampled, and they know that tree was one of the last old growth oak trees left in Iowa. So that means
really?
it was, they dated it post Civil War.
Wow.
No kidding.
Yeah, and
Well,
so I mean that
I don't know.
that
I don't
used
know
to-
what's killing those trees up in Mantigua then, but
So
I got fed
a lot of times, oak wilt is getting bad. There are there's a few other gosh, I don't want to say it because I'm not sure. I can't remember exactly what it was that Sean was telling me. But there's some things that you get some oak burr blight and stuff that is affecting oaks. Oak wilt is really bad. If it gets into your oak trees, it will kill. Southern Minnesota's just, there's some spots up there. You'll go up there and it looks like our ice trees down here.
No kidding.
And oak wilt kills immediately.
Interesting.
But then you mentioned the mulberries, so I like mulberry trees. They're awful to climb, but the deer love them, the critters love them. And so I'm kind of working a project around this thing. I'm going, maybe I should just drop this thing. This tree's not going to last that long. Like, you know what? We had this mulberry tree out at one of our, mom's old house, and that thing had split. And one of my brothers or dad or somebody went and ratchet strapped this thing back together. And I'm going, I wonder if that thing's still up. And so I went and Google Earth, and just 2 years ago was the last time the car had driven by. That stupid tree's still sitting there. It's had a ratchet strap holding the split. Well, it's probably not split anymore for 25 years. It's like, well, if that thing can last for 25 years with a ratchet strap around it, I think this one's
Well, I was
probably
gonna say
all right.
mulberry trees, unbelievably hardy because I've pulled them completely out of the ground and thrown them like in piles and stuff, and then we'll come back. So like a lot of land clearing projects, we'll come back a year later to burn everything. And I had pulled 2 of these trees out, and they had sitting on the edge of the pile, sunk. They had berries growing on them the next season, and half the tree had the top half of the tree was all leaves and it sunk roots into the edge of the pile. I'd pulled it completely out of the ground and destroyed it.
Mulberry trees are they're tough.
But even at my house, I like went through and cleaned out in between. Like we had a hedgerow full of mulberry trees. I went and picked. I want these 7, and I left 15, 20 feet in between each one. I took the excavator and pulled the rest out. Got a branch of this one, tore up some roots on this one. Not a single one of them's died.
Yeah, you tore it on. That's the only way to kill a mulberry tree.
Yeah.
Really.
It's like a hydra.
I'm not a
if
big
you ever
mul-
cut one off, like 2 more will grow out.
Yeah.
If you have a mulberry tree and you cut it off, next year you have a mulberry bush. You better kill it if you don't like it. So
Is that invasive then? Technically, here in
Yes.
the state of Iowa, it's invasive, but I like to eat them.
I've always, yeah.
I tell everybody, you want mulberries, go down the bike trail. It's full of them.
That's fair, yeah.
Pick some
That's
mulberries. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want one in my yard. You end up birds.
No. I know.
They're dirty. They're dirty.
Well, I don't mind them, but mine are all on the far north end of my property where, it's an acre and a half away from the house. They don't cause me any problems.
Mine are too close for sure. I gotta figure out how to trim them out a little bit. So after you got your ISA, did you go and get some other accreditations within that program then?
So I haven't. Nope. Okay. I just means I got it that late in my
Sure.
career. But it's again, like I said, I learned. I don't know if it changed hardly anything about the way I cut. My son made me a little safer. Coming on, he was quickly like, okay, look at all this new stuff they had for the tree industry, and so we went to wearing helmets and ear protection and
all the fun stuff.
we all wear communication devices.
Yeah.
So we
That
can
was
talk
one
to
of the
each
first things
other,
we bought.
and I mean, I credit my son for bringing me into the 21st century with tree industry. I mean, and that was I'll just say that was a pretty hard road to take sometimes because he was just like, look what they have, and I'm like, I mean, he's the reason we have a crane.
Yeah.
He showed me this one day in a video, and I'm like, right. Well, but actually, he was scared of heights, and I says, if you're going to stay in this, you better find a way to take a tree down by standing on the ground. Well, he shows me this video of this crane that was you run remote control, and it takes the tree down.
Are you talking about a grapple saw?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I was gonna say. That's changed a lot. See, I used to climb. Then we had my first son, and I was like, I had fell out on. I mean, I was safety lined in, but just still at snap. And then I had a secondary climber in a tree with me. I dropped something on my head without calling it out, even though we had communication. Stupid stuff like that, right? It's like, man, this is really not worth $1,000 to be taking this tree down. And so we looked into getting a grapple saw truck because, it's like you sit in your air-conditioned pickup and cut and bring bring them
the
down.
I was with you.
Yeah.
We drove clear down to
Oh, yeah,
we drove
we
clear
did
down
go,
to Glenwood and got to play with the thing. It was fun.
Yeah. No. So yeah, and that I would have never had that without him. And I never ran it. He's ran it the whole time. It's just I was not that. I wanted to look at my fingers instead of the tree, and I just maybe those years of video games.
Oh, the video games, yeah.
Paid off,
Getting
man.
him.
Because I mean, he could do this all day long, walk around, and talk at you. He'd talk to you and take a tree down. He got very, very.
So do you feel like that's a safer way to do it?
Oh,
I mean, obviously from the operator standpoint, absolutely you're away from it. But I mean, from like over houses, stuff like that, you
100%.
trust that more than a person rigging it and swinging it.
Yep.
Yeah.
All day long. I mean, and I would say this, everything else can be fixed. I mean, cranes tip over, they do. But everything else can be fixed. You don't have anybody, nothing's going to go wrong other than you're going to have to replace maybe a house or,
Right.
But you have insurance for that. I mean,
But-
But
Yeah,
somebody
loss
dies.
of life is
Someone-
is-
But
Yeah.
if you have somebody up there in that tree and something goes wrong, it's just, everything else is replaceable. So that crane was efficient, I mean, it just was, 2 guys could go take down a huge tree by themselves. 2 guys would go take a tree down.
and load it into the back of the truck all at the same time.
Well, so they would chip everything, and a lot of times if it was big logs, they would leave those and we'd come by and pick them up with our log loader.
Okay.
But 2 guys would get the whole tree down and chipped. I mean, because he's just picking pieces and setting them out in the road. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and when we first got into doing a lot of trees, I just had a skid loader and grapple, and I was trying to keep keep as much equipment on site and as little people. The people cost, and you can't put them on a balance sheet. So we would go up, and I'd climb. I'd be dropping pieces, and then do as much pickup. But we were loading them direct into a dump truck. There's even times we brought our excavator out with thumb on it.
Yep.
And basically, you could sit in one spot and grab the whole thing, swing it around, put it all in the truck, and we just hauled them either in a side dump or a dump truck. Took them out, but then it's just less cutting. It's less time. But I don't know that we ever owned a chipper. I think we rented them quite a bit.
I mean, it was just, like I said, it's a great way to, the bigger the chipper it was, the better for us, we thought, because I can get rid of chips.
Well, we've run horizontal grinders on land clearing projects. That's
a whole
I wanted to, I had an idea at one time to put a horizontal grinder and basically do what I was just saying, where you just stick the whole tree with that grapple saw as fast as you could put it in that thing and have a truck sitting on the other side. I was trying to shrink how fast can I get this tree gone and out of their yard as fast? And obviously I've gone on to other pursuits since then, but that it was just like, I don't know, I became like obsessed with getting this tree out in an hour. I want it out.
So you had Sean helping you out in the business for how long did he stick in or was it kind of when he was available he would come help? Or
So after high school, he did 2 years at DMAC. Just he got a basic business degree, and so he worked one summer. One summer he took a little job in closer to DMAC because he lived in Ankeny. But then after that, he came on as soon as he was out of school.
Yeah,
he came and he was full time with us.
Full time.
Yep.
And then also your wife.
Yes.
What'd you say? She was not into it.
Well, no, I mean she in 08. So my wife was a massage therapist. And so in 08, when, and then after COVID, a little bit, from 08 till COVID, she really worked a lot more than we did as far as that. And then when COVID hit, she quit kind of doing that because of restrictions and stuff. And she wasn't going to do all the restrictions they wanted her to do to stay in business. So she came and she actually worked. She was our third person on our crew for
really
almost a year. When the derecho hit, we'd had a big talk and said, all right. I said, I want to slow down, be a little better about teaching people. And we hired a kid that might have had a little bit of a learning disorder, but he was a really good worker and he had really smart. He'd worked with the Corps of Engineers, the Corps a lot, cutting down some trees. And I said, I'm going to hire him. And we hired him. For his first day was the day of the derecho. Oh. So, of course, that slowing down didn't happen. For a couple of weeks we were just using a crane every day. I mean, he was just, and he was a little too enamored by the tree work. I mean, I would find him just sitting there doing, and I just ended up letting him go because I thought he was going to get hurt. And so then my wife came and worked that whole year with us, just the three of us.
So you guys probably grew quite a bit, or at least made a lot of money that year.
It was, every tree service. Yeah. The people that weren't even in the tree service that made a lot of money.
It got me into it. I mean,
so the tree service, but my wife she could drive just as good as anybody, and she was very good on, she could run the mini skid, she could rig whatever we needed to do.
Nice.
So
that's awesome.
But then quickly she's like, this isn't for me, and I'll go in the office. So.
So what was your first expansion effort? Because you didn't keep it at just you and Sean and your wife running books, or did you? Was this
almost up to the point of sale? Me and Sean were still out in the field.
Yep.
At least one of us on every job.
But you did start hiring guys around that around derecho, or was it after that when you kind of got your?
So when did we hire Brandon? Probably a year, maybe a year after the derecho, we hired our first other guy. We had hired some people along the way just here and there, but then we hired a guy full time with us. He probably worked 3 years with us before he started his own tree business.
Yeah.
That's the number one thing with employees right there. Most of them get really
teach them everything just for them to go.
Yeah, and they go and
start their own thing
because there's no regulation on tree work hardly at all.
Well,
Gotcha.
and but the cost of entries, honestly, I mean, decently high if you want to get serious about it. I mean, obviously, a guy could go buy a chainsaw and a couple grand worth of ropes and saddle and spurs and go. Or I mean,
but now you can buy a truck for. I mean, you go to auction, you can buy a old Asplin truck for still $20,000-$25,000, and you're in it, you know.
Right.
And there's not a whole lot. I mean, there's no. I hate to say I wish we had more regulation, and you hate to say that.
Right.
But I wish there was a little bit of regulation in tree work as far as standards.
You've got OSHA's about the only people that are looking out for anything.
So OSHA just follows TCIA. TCIA has their ANSI standards, and OSHA, whenever there's a problem, they just refer back to what the tree industry has set for their
What
standards.
is that TCIA?
So it's the Tree Care Industry Association. So it's a nonprofit that just really took trees and their workers and made them work better together.
And I'd seen that you had got an accredited
Yep.
accredited with their program. And,
So my wife worked really hard for a year to get through accreditation. I mean, she really did the legwork. It was a ton of paperwork.
Well, so what you're saying there is like to your point. I mean, when I started doing trees, I was like 16 years old, and then when we went on our own, I was 17. So there's people. I mean, granted, it's out after HO, but they're letting us 17. Jacob was 18.
Mm-hmm.
Literally not. I mean, barely adult up a tree in your yard. We had insurance. We got insured for it. We had everything. But yeah, I mean, I guess now thinking back, I wouldn't hire a 17-year-old to cut my tree down.
I mean, yeah, that's just it. It's just, you know, anybody can, and it's amazing how many of them don't have insurance. I mean, and so that's hard to compete with. You know, they're like, well, geez, you're 3 times higher than this guy. I'm like, well, does that guy have any insurance, any, you know, any background in it at all? Well, I don't know. He's cheaper. It's like, well, if cheap is what you want, then go with him. But,
Yeah.
And I don't compete with that. I mean, it used to bug me really bad, but after a while, it's like, if you care about your trees and your house, then you.
Right.
I mean, ask them if they have insurance. You know, I'm proud to say you know, and we carried a lot because we did city of Ankeny work, so we had to carry $2 million liability insurance. You know,
Tree falls the wrong way too. Never know.
yeah. I mean, stuff. You know,
Your house.
I never used my insurance.
I saw a guy.
Never made a claim in all the years.
Never. I've never made a claim.
That's pretty darn good.
Yep.
We dropped one on the cab. It's got a cover on it. We dropped one on the cab once, and we didn't claim on the insurance, but we didn't.
Of your own truck?
Yeah. So you just bent the snot out of it. I think we replaced a windshield, but we didn't do. Yeah. We never turned anything. But also,
but that's for being meticulous. I mean that's what, as opposed to just cutting the thing off at the base and we're 90% sure it's going.
It should go that way.
Well, and yeah, even now, I don't know how I got this because I've cut down a lot of trees, but even now it's like I put a machine behind it. Even when we're down to that last bit, a lot of ours now we're not sectioning off, but I like to put my excavator behind it and reach up and make sure it goes where I want it to go.
I mean, 99% of what we did was residential work to where you weren't getting anything big in the backyard. You know?
Yeah.
But I'm a big fan of a rope. To put a rope in a tree. People I get people, oh, you got to use a cable. And it's like, no, you don't. Ropes are crazy strong.
Yeah.
Back when I had first house, we had this. It was an elm out in the front yard. Needed to come down because of the work we were doing. I knew it wasn't gonna live. I don't remember how I found these people. Somebody had to have recommended them. Husband wife team. They throw a rope around the top of that thing. She's in this 1-ton dually out in the street with the rope tied to it, and he's yelling, "Go!" She's got the back end of that truck up in the air. It's like, oh, good Lord. Never. I should have asked them if they had insurance.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
Sooner than that.
Well, there was a calculation. I'm interested because you guys use your grapple saw like a crane a fair bit, don't you, for craning off the log?
So once and so the downside to a knuckle boom crane, it's nowhere near the capacity or the speed of a stick crane.
Right.
So it more cuts, smaller pieces when it came to doing the log. But I mean, it still was.
And you don't find out you're over capacity until that saw goes through.
Well, yeah, I mean, except
Start knowing. There's a calculation though.
yeah, you can do size and everything and say, okay, we're close, so
Maybe go up a couple feet.
well, and then we know what we're good for because the crane will tell you at that angle and everything. We're good for 6,000 pounds. Well, we think it weighs 5, but we always pick the first one small. We almost always did because then we could say, okay, well that one weighed 3,000 pounds. Well, we got 2,000 pounds to play with now.
We had a digger derrick for like the linemen's
That'll get you in
had.
trouble.
And we used it like I would climb combination with it. So I'd have my guy sitting in the seat running it like a crane, and then I would climb, and then we could section off pieces and use it like a crane, and I'd just work my way down the tree. And yeah, we craned off.
So it's a bucket truck with a thumb on it? Is that what that
No,
is?
so a digger derrick, yeah, it's got the pinchers for like holding a.
It sets telephone poles.
It's,
Okay.
yeah, for setting
Yeah,
telephone
yeah.
poles. I don't even think we had that. We had the huge winch
Yeah,
on
and
the
I
end.
have a winch on the end of it. Yeah,
And a bucket. So sometimes we use it as a
you
bucket
can put a
truck.
bucket on it. Yeah,
And sometimes we'd fold the bucket out of the way, and Jacob would sit there and run it like a crane. So I could climb my way up. Run my safety lines was a lot easier because I'd go up in the bucket, set my safety lines, everything how I wanted it, and then work my way down the tree. And he would literally just sit there. I'd rig it. He'd put some pressure. I could cut, smooth through, lift it off, set it on the ground, and then we would just use the other machinery on the ground to process it. So we'd lift like the top half of a tree and swing the whole thing and set it on the ground. And
Now
then,
you said it's one of those rigs is a pretty easy way to get in trouble. What do you?
well, because they were designed to hold telephone poles. I mean,
Yeah.
which aren't their capacity just isn't.
yeah, I don't remember what the capacity
Yeah.
was. I think it probably maxed out at 6,000 pounds,
Yeah.
but that's why we were always calculating. Like
Yeah.
we'd figure out how much it.
But 6,000 pounds of tree is, a lot of tree. We do a lot of crane work too, and I use a guy out of Newton. It's big crane, but I mean, we would pick. I mean, we picked a 9,500 pound log out from behind a house. It was because we wanted the log in one piece.
Oh, it's a good. You saved the wood.
Yeah, yep. We had a sawmill at that time, so we saved it.
Okay. Would you? How often would you do something like that?
A lot with the crane.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you're going in and looking at a tree to drop, you already know.
I want the log.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, we brought a lot of logs home over the years that we did it, and I ended up not cutting any of them. I think we've burned them all because it's just it sucks. Thinking back, it's like, man, be nice. I always figured I'll let them dry, I'll cut them, I'll do something, and I just never did. So I said screw it and got rid of them.
And there's a lot of sawmills out there, but if anybody knows anything about wood, it's got to be dried before you can bring it in your house and do anything with it. So,
Space for all that. And
we have a kiln.
And kiln.
I have a really nice.
I built a big live edge table, and it was air dried, and it was clear down at, I don't know, 12%, something like that, which was stable. It was all good. Yeah. Brought it inside, and a little pile of dust underneath it, and I had two ash borers, or what the heck were they? Anyway, they got into the whitewood, and they bored their way out. I mean, I hadn't epoxied the bottom of it, and they came out, and just that fast. They were trying to breed in my house.
Yeah. So I tell everybody.
But yeah, it wasn't kiln dried because you had to bring them up to.
You need to do a bug kill, if nothing else. We just did some wood for a guy. It was all old barn timbers, and he's doing some lady's kitchen, and we came in there and we ran him in the kiln for 5 days, up to 160 degrees, just to do a bug kill, because a bug can live in a.
And I thought I dug all of them out, because I wanted one of those live edge things, and I'm, digging whatever out.
Yeah.
I did not.
I saw a video like a week ago or something like that. It was like someone's coffee table. It's the same thing.
Yep.
A little pile of sawdust by one of the legs.
Get right through.
Look underneath, and that's a perfectly drilled hole. I don't remember doing that.
So you've kind of taken us through where you've gotten to up and in the swing of the business, kind of hired some guys, got to derecho. When did you start looking at getting out?
Yeah.
Or did that just kind of fall in your lap?
Well, that was just kind of we were just all kind of getting burned out with it a little bit. I will say that one of the hardest parts of running a business are the employees, hands down. Was finding guys. A guy would, he was there 4 or 5 years, and some guys just he just like, well, I'm gonna go do my own thing, and And you don't blame a guy for that, but then it's like, geez, is this going to happen again when I have to going to go through this
Well,
again?
and we talk about that. It doesn't matter what the industry is. You've got, what if I train them and they leave? Yeah. Well, what if you don't and they stay? And now you've got somebody who doesn't know what he's doing. Yeah. He's been with you for 5 years.
And Sean really didn't want to. He said, this just isn't my son was in the tree business because I was, and it was a good job. It provided a good living for us all. So, but he was just ready to do something. It's funny now that he's still a salesman still, but he just was tired of the day-to-day operation. And so was I. And
running a saw every day is a hard living.
Yeah. I mean, he just, and we just decided, and then my wife started pursuing a few people, and, we had talked with these people, a guy we know that, because they own a branch over in Davenport, and he had mentioned it to us once, and Sean said, yeah, sure, let's let him talk. And within about 6 months or so, they worked a deal with us, and, we were done with that. But
I mean, when you started, so you started back in, what'd you say, 14?
14 is when we made the business.
Did you have some sort of a plan as far as what you wanted this business to look like, or was it, I'm just going to go out and cut trees and...
for the first few years, none whatsoever. Just it was my
job.
Living. It was that's how I was making.
Gotta survive. Yep.
But now, hands down, I will say my wife is very good at saying, I want to build a business that somebody else wants. Don't necessarily know if I want to sell it, but I want them to want it. And so
keeping the books clean.
She was really a driving force. Getting the accreditation. I wish more people would do that, because that made us look at our business inside out. I mean, we didn't have a business plan, because they said, well, you got to have a business plan. They want, there was a lot of, we had to put together safety manuals and documentation. Even though we had trained somebody, you didn't document it. Right. And they said, well, if Johnny goes through the chipper, they're going to say, where's the training program? Even, you want to see that he went through it, signed it. So we made all safety programs. We did all that. And, so that was a lot, and my wife, that was her end of it really. And she did a great job of getting us. And
is that, you guys started doing that when you started getting into working in city of Ankeny and doing that stuff?
I don't even, no, we had to, see, the city didn't even make us be accredited or nothing. I mean, that was just something that really, my wife she says, I want it to be accredited. Yeah. Like, okay.
Well, because, we had to do all that when we started doing site utility and big construction stuff. Yep. Basically, if you wanted to be hired, you'd have to show that you had a safety. Somebody had to go take 70 hours of OSHA, and they had to have a listed safety person. You had to have a safety plan. You had to have, training, all that stuff. We had to at least have
when it really came down to it, the ISA or the accreditation didn't do much for us when we were going to Tom's house to look at his tree, because he didn't ask either one of them really. Yeah. Mm-hmm. The accreditation was good for us because it made us look at our business inside out. We became a safer, I think, company, because we were a lot better. It's like, hey, we're not just going to sign, you could have sat there at the table and everybody could have signed all them papers and we could have went back to work. But we actually, even the guys that have been there for 4 years, have been running the chipper for 4 years. Like, okay, walk me through this. How do we start it? I mean, and we did it. And so, it did made us look better. We got really into safety. Everybody that worked for us wore saw pants, and some guys hated it. Saw pants are hot. Yep. But it only takes.
It's better to be hot than having one leg.
Yeah. And there were some guys that just I don't want them. I said, okay, well then, we supplied them. The helmets are hot, but we wore real nice proto helmets that are just, they are a little heavy. They're hot, but they're also safe. So
that's what got me at the end of the day. After you're climbing and you're constantly doing this, but you're if you've got ears on, especially with the radio in them, your mask and everything, it's heavy. Your neck hurts. But I'd rather have both my eyes or at least one eye. I only have one. Just the one. I'd rather have
you only got the
vision and not get hit in the head.
Normally, I have hearing aids in because for the most of my life, I have not wore hearing protection.
Oh,
is the trend moving towards the electric saws?
No.
No, it's still not. It's not there yet.
They're heavy. You know, if you get a battery with any kind of power, any kind of length, it weighs as much because weight.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, 'cause it's hanging from your belt.
Well, when you start reaching out there
Reaching out,
one-handed,
right.
you know, well, there's no one-handed chainsaws in this world.
There's not that.
Every chainsaw is a two-handed chainsaw, but they've designed some really, really well that are balanced to hold one-handed.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, the battery saws are heavy. There's some power to them.
I like the stop.
The braking is
Well, and that's why I asked with the saw pants, the electric ones. When you let go, it's done. It's not spinning anymore.
Yeah.
You still have to let go of the trigger, and if it's
Sure.
in your leg, the last and
Yeah.
your hand's bound up.
You know, I don't. We own one little Husqvarna electric saw that I use it around the mill more than I do. I mean,
Right.
it doesn't like the winter. Batteries, you know, it's hard on batteries in the winter when it's cold. And batteries are expensive.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
The saw on the first battery was $800-900, and then they were like $500 a battery. It's like, okay.
Well, and what brand were you using? Were you a Steel guy, Husqvarna guy?
So most of my saws are steel. I mean, they're durable. I think Husky makes a good saw, but you know, and then my little saw is an Echo, a little T25. It's a 2511. It is tiny, but it's a great topping saw. It can hang on your belt. Doesn't weigh much. And it's got a lot of power.
I have a steel top handle. I have a couple of them, I think. And then I just was at Con Expo, and Milwaukee was showing off their new top handle battery powered saws, and it's lighter than my steel top handle. I've never run an Echo, but yeah, I guess if I still did it, I got all Milwaukee stuff anyway. It wouldn't be, really bad to have chargers, and we've got batteries.
Yep.
And, but it was lighter than that, and I think over time, if they can get that stuff ironed out, it's probably a safer, saw to have up in the tree because of the braking. Or
I don't know. I mean, again, even anything that hits a pair of saw pants are designed. It's got material in it, and it just pulls it out. And what it does, it plugs your saw up. That's what stops it. So if you were cutting hard with an electric saw and you hit even if you let off your throttle and nicked your pants with your gas saw, it probably wouldn't hardly even make a mark on your pants. I mean, it just wouldn't. So I think they are going to be better. Electric saws will. I think more once they get battery life, weight, and the price down a little bit. I mean, right now they're still
prices.
pretty pricey.
well, a 5.0 battery to put in it's $150.
I don't know.
The saw's too
I
high.
got my wife this stupid knockoff. Takes a DeWalt battery so she could run around the farm and trim trees and stuff. That thing is mine now.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, once I drop a log to go out and just trim that thing up, because it's one hand. You just
Well, yeah, and I've got and I think they call
and after 2 hours and your arm it's like this thing's only half battery. I mean, just for trimming up, brush piles
for
and
sure.
stuff like
well,
that.
and I have Milwaukee's. I think it's called the Hatchet. It's their M12 little, and I mean the blade on it's like 6 or 8 inches long is all for just trimming and doing stuff around the house. Yeah, I do like that saw quite a bit. I haven't pulled my little steel stuff out in a while.
Where did you learn about so dropping trees is one side of the game, right?
Sure. Yep.
Almost any idiot with a chainsaw can drop a tree, so long as there's nothing. It's going to fall.
Yeah.
You may not do it safely. There's tons and tons of risks to dropping a tree, and if you ever get a chance, I'm a Reddit fanboy. There's a subreddit called Felling Gone Wild, and it's guys out there doing it the wrong way. I mean, they're not setting their cuts right or anything like that, and how most
No
of people,
rigging.
no,
pushing it
it's the, and I forget what all the terminology is called, but if you don't do your initial cut right and your back cut right, and the chair or whatever it's called in there,
Your hinge.
and they're not hinging them right. These things are flying off and coming back. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Dropping them on houses is lots of fun stuff. So, but the trees did come down, right? So that's one side of it. But then the actual arborist is a whole other side of the industry.
Yes, proper pruning, just as so young, and a lot of people have this misconception. Trimming a tree in the first 5 to 10 years of its life a few times can make drastic changes because everybody waits till their tree gets big and they got a big 10-inch limb they want off their tree now. And taking that limb off your tree is really hard on your tree. Trees don't heal. I mean, over that 10-inch wound. But if you have so I have lots of little trees on my property, and I'll do a little pruning, the size of a nickel or smaller. Take them limbs off because the bark will heal clear over it, and in 10 years you'll never know it was there. And so young pruning is way better for trees, and that's where your arborist needs to come into play, because most people would say, well, that tree doesn't need anything.
Because it's too small that just the mass of it doesn't look like it.
But if you're looking at it, you might have one that's got a double trunk, or if you want to start getting the shape,
you want a central leader. So anytime you don't have a multi-stem tree, taking down most, a lot of silver maples in Iowa, and all of our silver maples are multi-stem. Everybody says, oh, they're junk trees. Well, if you would have cut one of them off when they were little, then that's. And eventually you have multi-stems on your tree, but you want to keep a single stem trunk as long as you can. It's just better for the tree.
But where did you learn about all that? Because that's not like I say, you can grab a saw, go cut down a tree, but what you're talking about, somebody had to teach you that, or did you go to the internet?
No. I mean, over time, I've just being around the tree long enough, it's like, well, that's what you look back now and say, the great big ones we took down, or when we see these trees fail. Well, this is why they failed. If we did this, and then when it became time for certification, some of my young tree pruning and some of that was in that certification. So I highly recommend, again, for anybody that gets into it. What it does, opens your eyes, and then you have to start looking.
International one or in the
ISA one. So they don't get into a lot of detail about it, but then that's when my son really said, okay, let's start looking into this, and he really took off with tree health, way better than anything. The health of your tree will make a difference more than hiring somebody to take it down or prune it or anything. So he's really good about promoting tree health.
So kind of with that, so I've got these apple trees on my property, and one of them is massive. It's like one of the biggest apple trees I've ever seen, but no one's ever really done anything with it. And it's got branches that are crossing and grown into each other. And it's a really cool looking tree. Not 100% sure how long it's going to survive, but I've got Google Earth pictures really far back that things was there. I think in the 70s even it was still there. But it's this massive canopy that's literally touching the ground. So mowing around it's a huge pain, but I know that I can't trim everything up to the height I want all in 1 year. So I've kind of been doing a little bit every year. Is that the right way to go about that?
So, if you don't have to do a lot of pruning on a tree, it's going to survive better. And that's what's bad is somebody didn't do anything to it for 30 years.
Yeah.
And just let it grow. And, fruit trees are a whole nother animal as far as pruning, keeping them pruned back. Most apple trees put on way more apples than you can ever use.
Right.
And they get too heavy and they break. So really trimming your apple trees back to, especially if they're on your property. I mean, so what? You only get 30 apples, 40 apples off your tree, but you get nice, fruit.
Right.
Or you get 100 little golf balls because, or even 5, and it's hard on your tree. So,
and your kids are old enough and small enough, you can send them clear up in there and start.
Right. Well, and it's
Start getting the top ones.
So there's two things with it. One, I didn't want to kill it by. I've just been trimming off a little bit every year. I want to get it to where we've got, get rid of all the suckers all the way up and get down to the. So we get some decent fruit. But I'm terrified of killing it because it's such a nice looking apple tree that I don't want to just go in.
It's done so good for this long.
Yeah, and it's like I don't want to go
let's
in there.
Let's not upset the apple
just so
cart.
I can mow around it.
Typically apple trees fail because of weight when they get too many apples on them, and then you get branches breaking out of them. That's typically what gets people that don't take care of them.
Okay, so what is the best time to trim them? Because
it depends on if you want the apples or not. If you don't care so much about the apples, do it whenever you want. If you want the fruit, then you can't cut. You have to do it right after harvest. Because shortly after harvest, it's putting on its new node already. for next
So if
year's
I
flower.
don't care about the fruit, let's say right now, so we got two issues with it. We got apples out the wazoo, and then we've got Japanese beetles absolutely annihilating my tree.
Yep.
But so the fruit this year's probably destroyed anyway. If I went in and started trimming it now, would I get fruit next year?
Yeah, some, not as much, but some. You know, back that up to don't do it when it's this hot.
Okay.
Stressing trees are already stressed, so they don't need any more stress. So you know, you could wait till fall to do it. You know when it cools down a little bit, go out there and you know, I want to say take some bigger stuff out of it, because death by a million cuts is a thing in the tree industry. A lot of people say they'll go out there and they'll make all these little tiny cuts, or you could just go take 1 3-inch limb out, and you might think that's a lot, but you have a lot of tree and you want to reduce it down anyway. So just, I would tell you to make a few bigger cuts to get rid of your material.
Well, there's about 4 or 5 branches on the thing that's what's touching the ground causing me the problem. And if I went up about halfway on those and made a cut or two on a couple of branches.
Instead of cutting 100 little ones all the way around to try to get your canopy, just cut a few big ones each time to get your canopy up.
Okay.
So.
And then I told my wife I'd ask this. She's distraught about the Japanese beetles. Is there anything? Because we've been spraying them every week with like neem oil. That was not working. I don't know if it's because it's been multiple years of them destroying the tree or what. But
so, yeah, I should tell you. I should have paid attention to what I spray mine with. I just can't tell you the name of it right now. But so I was using some stuff just over the counter prior to this that you hook a garden hose bottle onto and spray. My trees are getting tall enough I can't get pressure up there, so I use this other sprayer now. But that I can't even think what that was called either. But it was working pretty good. But yeah, if you don't stay on, I mean, I've sprayed twice now already for my Japanese beetles.
I was gonna say we've sprayed, I think 3 times, and I'm putting her either in the skid loader bucket or in the excavator bucket and getting
Neem
it to
oil.
where
I've never heard of that.
Well, they gave up on that. It's a little crunchy.
Yeah, she's really into, you know, non-toxic, this, that, and the other thing, and I'm getting to the point where it's like this tree is going to die if we don't get these things killed.
So, you know,
Neem oil works good for aphids,
Sure.
little bugs and stuff like that. I don't know exactly.
It says
what
Japanese beetles on it, but
I don't know how.
I will tell you what.
Maybe if you dunk them in the neem oil.
what we just sprayed with last time, and it's really. I mean, once it dries, I mean, 2 hours after I spray, I let my dog out. I mean, it's.
Yeah.
I mean, don't spray when it's dripping off the tree, but I would.
You guys put 7 on it, is what you used, which is always, that's like a garden 7, SEVIN, I believe.
Yeah.
And that's.
But I don't know
that's what you said.
I don't know that does Japanese beetles though.
I don't know what she got. She just bought something new to try.
Triazonon, I think, is the chemical that's in that spray bottle that I use. But I mean, if your tree's over, you know.
Oh, this thing's like, I don't know. What do you think that is? 25 foot tall?
At least.
Yeah. So I mean, unless you got crazy water pressure, you're just not getting up there.
Well, yeah, and that's
you know, and but yeah, no, there's a company up in Minnesota that Sean said they're trying to come up with an injection
that would be huge
that they can do.
Yeah.
For Japanese beetles, because it's funny because it used to be they picked on my crabapple trees, and then a couple years ago they picked on my sycamore, and this year I found them on my arborvitaes, which.
Here, take a look at that. That's a 120,000 pound excavator. She's in the bucket to spray that up in the air, spraying that tree.
In the dark.
It says
They want to tear the yard up.
apply neem oil or a mixture of water and a few drops of mild liquid dish soap directly to the beetles.
Yeah, so you go to each one.
Oh, yeah.
So you got to start drowning them in neem oil.
No.
Yeah, easy peasy.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just, and you know, it really doesn't. I mean, eventually it will hurt your tree, but I mean, I've seen some trees, some linden trees. They really seem to like a linden tree first, and I mean, they will completely defoliate that tree, and it comes back. You know,
Interesting.
so
I've got elm trees that are just getting this. I don't know. They're kind of just trashy tree, but
sure.
you know, I can't figure out if they need to come down. You know, they're bare all the way up to the canopy, and then they leaf out.
They're probably Siberian or Chinese elms, aren't they? more than likely.
Well, how the heck would I know?
I don't know.
There's some
ask
guys
to see their
that
passport, Luke.
Because most we don't have a lot of big red American or gray elms left in the state.
Is that from the elm disease?
Because of Dutch elm disease.
Okay.
But we have a Chinese elm, or you hear a lot of farmers call them piss elms. They're just a junk scrub tree that grows along the fence line.
Yep,
And
I
if you
got
got
a lot of them,
and they're self-seeding, that's why you have one. If you have one, eventually you'll have more.
So what do you see? Are we running out of ash trees? Are there going to really? Because I saw something at one point. They said by like 2030 or 2032, there's going to be none left. And I know
globally, U.S., Iowa.
I don't remember what the stat was a long time ago, but
I mean, they're moving.
I mean, they're
east to west.
It's moving
right?
west.
yeah, I mean it's killing. I mean, we did. I would say 80% of our business was taking those out.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, they were fast, and when they hit the ground, they shatter. So you could just pick up all the pieces quick and hit the road. I mean, they literally.
You can't climb them.
Yeah, that was the other thing is it got to the point where it's like it's dangerous to climb them, and so with the bucket truck, you go up, cut them, drop them, million pieces, and clean it up.
And something they know about ash trees that have died from emerald ash borer, they're finding that they weaken them differently than. They started rigging them down and stuff, and they were having 10 and 12-inch limbs just break.
Mm-hmm.
That they were using for a rigging point for where they had a pulley up in a tree, and that just failed. So to me, the ash trees that are still standing that have been dead for 5 or 6 years, I stay away from them. I mean, we do. I am just not. Usually it was people that I mean, there's been times I've bid the same tree twice because the first time I was too expensive, and they're like, next time I come around and I'm even more. I'm like, well, because the trees, it's more compromised now,
right?
So you just made it harder and
more dangerous.
I said it's never going to get cheaper. It was the cheapest it was going to be was way back the very first time I bid it when it was just had died, and now they're just the ash trees that are left are dangerous to me. I mean, they really are.
Even
there's
even
two
with
of them
your
in my backyard. They're not mine. They're the neighbors, and I'm looking at that thing going, it's been dead for 5 years.
Well, and you were going to say even with the crane, right?
even with your grapple saw.
So you got to watch it. You'll go up there and you'll grab hold of that limb and you'll shake the tree a little bit, and then you don't know. Sometimes we had some that would break off right above where we grabbed, and we had some that broke off 6 foot down from where we grabbed.
Right.
And they're just getting that bad, and so you got to be that delicate with it, and it just.
Well, I don't remember if it was. I don't think it was an ash tree. I'm pretty sure it was a silver maple, real stringy. I was cutting on it, and I guess it had been split at some point, and you couldn't tell, but the inside had like a split through it, but the bark had healed. So I make my cut, make my back cut. This piece is going over. We're gonna kind of run on a zip line. It peeled. Well, my safety line's wrapped around down here, and it like snapped me up against the tree. I'm like in my head going, I am what's holding this thing from falling, and it's a pretty good sized chunk. Can't hardly breathe. I end up cutting my safety line, but that's one thing I never wanted to get in an ash tree after that, being worried that it would just break off or something with no predictability. So I quit climbing ash trees after that and got real particular about maple trees that I was up in because I'm not getting broke ribs and dying because something stupid like that.
Someone else's tree.
It's amazing what wood will do. Wood can, I've seen wood do some funny things that I thought would have never, didn't see that happening,
Yeah.
And so safety is key.
So you've kind of gone through how you got into this business and everything. Would you give us a little bit on how you got out? Because I don't think a lot of tree company guys ever get out. We actually looked at purchasing another tree company because he wanted out. But it just seems like a thing a lot of guys.
Plan,
Yeah, most guys just hang the saw up and go home.
Mm-hmm. So the company that purchased us, they had opened a branch up in Des Moines, but it just wasn't gaining traction. So they started looking at tree services in Des Moines, and they're like, "You guys, you guys have got some traction." We had a great website. One of my big things when we sold to them, they're like, we showed them our books and stuff. They're like, "You guys don't have an advertising budget." I said, "No, we don't. We don't advertise." They're like, "How do you?" I said, "We didn't need to," and they were like, "Well, we'll spend $25,000 a year advertising." I said, "Okay," but we just didn't. So we had a great website, just good looking trucks, logoed up, and just a really good reputation. I said, our best advertisement is a happy customer because he's
Well, then before you know it, you're back doing the whole neighborhood.
Yeah,
From one house.
You're just good quality work will get you more work. That's where I'm trying to drive home to them right now a little bit, that quality over quantity, because they're a bigger company and they want to look at volume, which can make you money. Once it might not retain you. It doesn't retain your customers, if you ask me. So we looked at quality. We were just crazy picky. Cleanup was incredible. Take care of your yard.
That was huge. People always worrying about the yard. That was one of the reasons I hated doing. But it's like,
I own a lot of plywood.
Yeah,
100 sheets of ply. There's times we've laid 100 sheets down and went back and picked up some, and we'll put our crane. We're putting a 60,000-pound crane clear across.
Right, and that's where we never had it. We'd have plywood laid down or something, but people would be worried about it. How long is it gonna be on? Is my grass gonna die? It's like we're taking out like a 75-foot tall tree right next to your house, and you're worried about is this grass coming back?
Yes, they are.
It's nuts. I hated that.
Yep.
Really?
It seems like people's yards.
Right.
That's something I would always, when I got rid of, pull up somebody's house to bid a tree, that's the first thing I noticed. It's like, okay. Look at their golf course they lived on. It's like this guy's, and some would say, okay, I understand what the extra cost is. I said, your yard's going to look just like that when we're gone too. And that helped us a lot. People would be like, you took my neighbor's tree out and you can't even tell he was.
Oh, there was
the road,
some
everything.
trees that got down, not too far from me, and I drive that route often enough, and I drove by and it's like, I could have sworn that there was
trees.
like 6 huge trees sitting here, and I had to look. Did you guys do any stump grinding, or did you?
Yeah.
Yep.
So whoever this was dropped them, ground them out, put new topsoil over the top, and they may have even put some
seed down or something.
seed or turf or something.
We
And I'm
usually
going,
seed everything.
there was no sign that there was ever a tree there, and it's I kind of miss them because it was really nice stand of trees that they had, but obviously they were starting to whatever the reason for dropping them, but boy, they did a nice job.
So
Well, yeah, and that was the thing. I don't know even how many bids I wrote up that was, okay, this is what it's going to cost. If I bring in all the equipment, we do it quick, or the yard and we have to hand drag or cut everything smaller and use smaller machine to get it off and keep the yard safe. You'd bid it both ways. And then, stump grinding is what really got us into it. I rented a stump grinder right after the derecho and went nuts with it. But, even we did a lot of regrinds. Like people would bring in, and they'd grind it 2 inches below the surface and then leave. And they'd leave the chips in there, so the customer would just go, oh, yeah, that's ground. Well, they get the chips cleaned up, and lo and behold, here's
there's
the
a
grinding.
stump sitting
Yeah,
there.
still a stump there. So, what did you use for a grinder?
so we have a little Rayco RG55. So it wasn't a huge grinder.
But stand on, walk behind one?
Oh, yeah, it was stand on. You stood next to it to run it. It was a
Yeah.
self-propelled grinder. But it was small enough to get in any yard.
Yep.
I can fit through a 36-inch gate with it. So,
Yeah.
Big too.
everything we had would fit through a gate except our crane. And then I ran a lift that would go through. It took a 7-foot opening, but I was good at taking down fence, or it'll fit between two posts on wood fence on wood panel. It'll fit between 2 posts, and so we didn't even have a bucket truck or anything anymore. We'd gone to that lift and the crane, and but back to them the purchasing of it. They just wanted a company that was really got them traction in the Des Moines area, and they I don't know, the first time they talked to us was probably in February or so, and we just kind of got busy and didn't respond very well, and they're like, hey, we're still really interested, and that's when we got a little more serious the second time with them, and then we did a valuation of our company, because we had an idea of what equipment, and it's like, what's it worth? So we did a third-party evaluation of the company, and they came back with a pretty good offer that eventually we just said, this is
worth doing.
good time for me to get out of it, because I'm almost 60 years old. I said, I'm not going to be able to do this the cutting of it, and if I can't find people to do it. And
So how do they calculate, and you may not know, how do they calculate like your blue sky value or whatever? Because like a return customer on a tree job, I mean, it's not like you're getting back in there every year. I mean, you're talking about maybe you see that customer once every 5 years or,
so
that kind of stuff. Or how did they calculate what the business potential earning was versus?
We had quite a few customers that we did see almost yearly, whether it be, they might have 20 oak trees on their property. So they maintain 5 here, 5 here, and they keep going around. And inevitably you get a good customer like that, and they almost always have something going on, and then if they have any kind of damage, then they're just calling, and that's where we were at. I was like, we're tired of bidding every job. Just let's focus more on getting these regenerate customers that just come back and just say, hey, this happened, or you need to come out and take care of the trees, one of the two, and not having to bid everything all the time. So that was
I have no idea.
6.
What do you think? Get a hard hats on for
Hard questions.
For our hard hitting questions.
Yeah.
Pony up.
I tried to convince these guys we should wear them the whole podcast, because if I saw this on TikTok, I see a bunch of idiots sitting inside.
I've seen this on TikTok. We'll look like a bunch of idiots.
Yeah, and I would stop and watch it.
for about 10 seconds right now.
That's it. That's all we're good for anyway, about half the time. All right, so first question out the gate. Now, I think we probably covered this, and I know your answer, but I want to hear it. Better to go to trade school, on-the-job training, or apprenticeship?
I mean, I'm going to say it depends on the field a little bit. For arboriculture, I think an apprenticeship program would work really good if it could get established, because on-the-job training, you might not get, I wasn't the best trainer sometimes. I was a get out of my way and let me do it myself kind of guy. Or, and really in the beginning, it was all financially. It's like, we're not making any money right now with this guy doing this. We're slow. But better mindset now. The only way you're ever going to get out of it to where you ain't working every day is to train that guy. Mm-hmm. So at least pick a few hours a day, get him up in one tree, But I think an apprenticeship program would be good if you could get it in the tree industry, but most of the tree industry is on-the-job training. 100%.
I say, have you ever? I don't know if I've ever heard of an apprenticeship program for
a friend of mine in Columbus, Ohio, that's got a tree service. He tried and tried, and he got with Still, and they did a program, and like one person out of 50 they did stayed in the tree industry.
Oh,
interesting.
Geez.
And none of them stayed with him. I mean, he put a lot of time and effort into them, and only one person stayed in it. So
it is a tough business, and I mean, it's the days like today that the guys don't want to be doing it.
Miserable day today.
Dragging trees, and you're wearing chaps and all that stuff. I'm gonna change the second question here because I think we hit quite a bit of this. My question is, if a young guy wanted to get into this as a job, and he's kind of looking in, what would the path for him to do so be? Like, what would you recommend? Like, he's 18 years old, coming out of high school. He's kind of interested in doing that. What is his course of action?
So I'll use the guy that there's a guy that worked for us. We hired him up out of Marshalltown. He seeked us out, and it was kind of neat because he wasn't the best candidate for us. Now he's going to be a great tree person, individual someday. He's just super smart. He had no experience, but what he did is he Googled quality tree services. He looked at our reviews. He was looking to see if we had any certifications and if we did any kind of education, because you're going to find so many tree services out there that don't care about any of that other than just dragging the brush. Mm-hmm. And so if you want to, he definitely wanted to excel. I mean, he knew more about trees than I did, but he had no idea how to take one down or prune one. He had so much tree knowledge, it was crazy.
Well, it goes back to something else we've talked about. It's finding the guy. Almost every person we've talked to when it comes to hiring, they're finding the right guy to do the job and then training him to do the job.
It's funny, somebody that wants. He used AI.
Right.
He literally put in keywords, and we were the first ones that popped up. And he called us.
Huh.
That is how he found us.
That's
And
nuts.
Chandler just got a 98 on his ISA certification exam. Out of 100.
That's awesome.
He is so. He's such a tree professional. It's going to be incredible what that.
So
means.
so he came in with literally no experience, but he was able
None.
to acquire that knowledge base very quickly, and that's one of the things we talk about a lot with AI.
Yep.
Your access to information is so much more than you guys had when you started your careers. It gives you a leg up. So anyone out there that's kind of listening to this can be applied to any.
Do some research
Yeah.
on who's going to hire you, because there's 100 tree services out there, and maybe only 10 of them are somebody you want to work for. To be honest with you, really. If you want to excel your career, if you just want a job, go get a job. They might pay you cash, who knows, But if you really want to excel your career, look at who's hiring you. So
Awesome.
Yeah, so third question here. What advice would you give to a student who's unsure if the trades are the right path for them?
go do them.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of college is not for everybody. We need some smart people in this world, but the trades, I just seen we were at baseball this year, and one of the high school seniors, he's going to be an electrician. He says, I'm not even going to go to, he said, I'm going to start right into the apprenticeship program and be an electrician right out of, and why not? Because right now, skilled trades, electricians, plumbers, HVAC,
Yeah.
especially, I'm not all pro union, but the union was good to me. Especially if you're lazy. Go to the union if you're lazy, right?
They're like,
I'll say that out loud.
well, we're like,
because you can't give. It's amazing. There was guys that I worked with. It's like, how do you have a job? I was like,
well, we're like, I don't know, was it 300,000 or 400,000 electricians short nationwide or something like that? So it's like job security. The pay is gonna be like. And one of the things we want to do with this program is show not just a lot of people know framers, concrete, and HVAC, electrical, plumbing, right, as the trades. But I don't think a lot of them think of tree service. Or next week's interview, we're bringing in a tailor. It's still a trade, but it's something almost no one does. And it's just shining a light on some of these industries that there's plenty of money to be made. There's plenty of guys wanting to get out that you could hop on and be part of their succession plan that no one even has talked about, or these guys don't even know. These young people don't even know exist.
And AI is never going to take those jobs away.
Right.
Never.
Well, it's like that kid you were kind of talking about, and he said he just loved trees, had a knowledge for trees, and it's like so he could use his passion and love for trees and actually use it as a job. Where some people who find out they love trees, they go work for a nonprofit or work for free, go and try and save trees and chain themselves to it or something.
Yep.
So you can still use your passion. There are niche things out there that you can still use your passion and
absolutely.
be in the trade world.
Chandler is he is just going to be a great tree professional someday, just because he is so knowledgeable and got a passion for saving a tree, more so than chaining himself to it. Yeah.
Well, wrap her up. Thank you here again, Denny. Thanks for coming out. Thanks for joining us and sharing your experience, lessons, and insights and advice for the next generation.
Right on.
Thank you.
Hey, at Building the Future, we believe exposure creates opportunity. So thanks for listening. Keep on learning, keep growing, and keep building your future. We'll see y'all next time.